Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. I am CallMeNakomi and welcome back to CallMeNakomi World. I appreciate you coming out to YouTube and listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to the show every single week. I hope to have continued to give you guys great entertainment content as this channel is dedicated to. But also, just so you guys know, I have a new sports channel on YouTube called Call Me a Sports Fan. Yes, Call Me a Sports Fan, where I'll be discussing everything sports with guests, which are my good friends, and we'll discuss all types of sports: football, basketball, soccer, tennis, just lots of different things come up in the sports world, and we'd love to come on and discuss it with you guys, and we'd love it if you guys will come by and take a view also. So go out and look for Call Me a Sports Fan, but I'm going to get back to CallMeNakomi World right here, where we are going to cover episode 4 of the season 2 of The Wheel of Time. Let's begin, guys. So just so you know, this episode is, the episode name is Daughter of the Night. And spoiler warnings for the episode today. As usual, I might mention things here and there that reference events or conversations from the series, but I don't go deep into any of them. So there aren't any real big direct spoilers for the show, but consider those things that I mentioned here and there just Easter eggs for our veteran readers out there who come from time to time to my channel, and I really appreciate you guys. So I'm not trying to spoil anything in case somebody basically new finds me, but you guys will catch it if you can, and other people probably won't even know what I'm talking about. So it is what it is. Of course, as always, please like, comment, subscribe, share, and rate me everywhere you want to see me. If it's on the podcast, go ahead, please, and give me a decent rating. If you guys, whatever is on your heart to give me. I really appreciate that, guys. But also, if you're here on the channel and you're watching me right now, go ahead and hit that like button. It doesn't take but 2 seconds to do it. You know what I mean? Also, go ahead and leave a comment on any of the conversations that I have or topics that I discussed today, and share it with your friends if you think that basically they might really take to it, or really enjoy it. So, and we'll grow. This whole entire channel will definitely grow. So whatever you guys feel, I really appreciate it, and thank you so much. Thank you in advance. But so we're gonna get right to the episode. So our good friend Shamayel, and sometimes I call him Ishi. Basically, that's how I write him. That's how I put him down in my notes, as Ishi. He walks through a deep canyon somewhere in the world, and enters a cavern. And at its center, there's some type of structure suspended above. He starts channeling and chanting something in the old tongue. And I'm not exactly sure what he says, but I know that I caught the word landfear at the front of it. Not going to basically, give away too much just yet. But the weaves flow out of him and reach all the way up to the structure while he's chanting this thing in old tongue. And when it reaches the structure explodes, and down from it releases a woman, and she's just covered in blood. And he says, blood feeds blood, blood calls blood, blood is, blood was, and blood shall ever be. And that's directly from the books. Hopefully you guys have gotten past book 2. Yes. But direct call back from the books, direct quote from the books. Absolutely love it. So we're going to go to our next scene of characters, and we got Matt and Min, 2 of my favorites, and they're hitting the bars on Bourbon Street. This basically this drinking it up, throwing some back, and Matt's not very lucky right now because he lost all of his money to Min. Whether he's lucky or not, we don't know yet, basically. But as of right now, he doesn't have the luck right now. So, maybe it's because also that Min could see the future. That's always obviously a possibility. So She gets up and offers to buy some more drinks and goes to the bartender to order another round of hand grenades, of course, and sees if they could rent the attic for the night. And also she asks for the barkeeper to let her know when a friend arrives. And who knows what a friend is? The bartender doesn't seem like he knows what she's talking about. And she doesn't specifically seem as though she knows much about what she's talking about. But he's like, sure. You're tipping. I got you. No problem. You know? So later on that evening in bed, Min is having these horrible dreams, these bad dreams, and which is really kind of like flashbacks from her youth, where her aunts basically are pimping her out as a fortune teller. And there's customer after customer that comes, and she sees one horrible outcome after another until she closes her eyes and doesn't want to see it any longer. Then Ishi is basically sitting right across from her and tells her to open her eyes. She looks at him and says, "Who are you?" He says, "I have so many names: father of lies, betrayer of hope, forsaken congressman. You know, what's in a name?" So she's just like, Leandrin didn't mention him at all, as they were making their plans. He wasn't mentioned as part of the plan at all. But he promises her that he can take away the visions, and says that but she basically says that she won't help him hurt anyone. But he promises her that if she wants her curse, that's her visions, she's considering her visions as a curse. And I can imagine, as a kid growing up, could you imagine basically seeing that kind of horrific stuff over and over again? She sees it as a curse, but he says that if she brings Matt Cawthon to Kyrian, he will take her curse away. So it looks like there's going to be a gathering at Kyrian. We're going to have to see what's going on, because Rand's in Kyrian, and we're going to see all the other things that's going on there. Anyway, in the forest where the wild things and wolves are, obviously, Perrin and Elias are walking the road. Perrin says, I got to go back for my crew. You know what I'm saying? Loyal and Inktar and all of them are basically back there still. But he can barely believe, Elias is like, we can't do that. Not right now, at least. And he could Perrin can barely believe that Elias can actually communicate with wolves, much less himself, and he doesn't understand how he's a part of their pack. But Elias is just waiting for him to eventually figure out what's going on. He asks Elias, what are we? And Elias tells him, we are wolf brothers. That's what wolves, call them. And Perrin tries to get some more details out of Elias, asking some probing questions. But then they receive a signal from other wolves, and it's really kind of cool. It's basically just a deer. It's in the form of a deer, kind of prancing along, and in like they could see it, but it's obviously not there. It's just basically like a misty vision in around them, where they see a deer passing by, and they realize that the deer passing by is a signal or a sending from the wolves, saying that there is a deer nearby that they're basically hunting. They get the deer, and the pack dines on fresh raw venison along with Elias, while Perrin is cooking a kebab over the fire, of course, because he's not ready for that raw meal yet. Elias tells him that the wolf sitting next to him while they're eating, Elias mentions that the wolf that's sitting right next to him also has lost, has taken a liking to Perrin, and also has lost a mate. And they've been picking up on that stuff in his life from his dreams. But he's not ready to share his name with Perrin yet. So, Perrin just sits and talks to Elias. The wolves and Elias have been following him apparently for a long time and saved them from the White Cloaks. So the wolves were definitely a part of how they actually were able to get away from the White Cloaks. And they've been coming, they have come to him, they would have come to him earlier if it wasn't for the fact that Perrin was with an Aes Sedai. And Perrin is wondering why. And Elias says that humans don't trust what they don't understand. Very true. And as Perrin's understanding of everything is setting in, the wolf shares an image with him. And the image is of that wolf jumping around in the forest. And so Perrin kind of gets some kind of understanding and realizes that, oh, his name is Hopper. Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right, so we got Elias, we got Hopper. Let's go. Everything. Let's go with all of these people from the books. I love it. All right, we move on to Nynaeve, who is still in shock from the ordeal that she went through in the testing. Of course she is. She's in her banded novice dress now, though, with all the beautiful rainbow spots of all the colors of the Aes Sedai around her cuffs of her dress. Very beautiful. And she has this cute big belt around her middle. Very chic. I love it. She retrieves her ring from the dresser, which actually has no stone in it because she's not of an Aja yet. And she gathers a stone right before she answers the door. And at the door is Egwene bearing honey cakes, aka, I'm here to check on you, make sure you're okay, sis. She tries to withdraw, of course, but Egwene tells her that she is here if she needs her. Don't run from me. That is good to have her back. She really thought she was really going through it when she thought she lost Nynaeve. I mean, absolutely. And this tries to remind her that none of it that she saw in the testing was real. Try to just focus on that. Later, Egwene and Elaine are doing chores, as they do, as novices do. And Egwene says that Nynaeve won't let her help her. And Elaine is like, well, stop trying. But she can't because she's her friend. Jeez, Elaine. Heartless much? You don't realize that in the Two Rivers, you must be stubborn to beat stubborn? I mean, that's obvious if you know anything about Two Rivers. Duh. Plus, Egwene says that she helped her get through a lot of bad, tough times when they were traveling and since they've left the Two Rivers. Probably since when they were in the Two Rivers, she basically mentored Egwene for a very long time. So, she owes that to her. She owes Nynaeve not to give up on her. And she's going to stick by her. Then later, Nynaeve is walking through the tower and passing the Waters training grounds, as she loves to. She's looking, obviously, for somebody. But she catches the eye of a young, strapping trainee. Shirt off and everything like that. He's working up a sweat, and he decides he sees her, catches her eye, and says, okay, let me chat her up for a quick second. And he knows her by name. So, Nynaeve got groupies, huh? I mean, yeah, she has groupies. I mean, when you heal 15 people, in one go, and, at least somebody's going to want her autograph. That's just the way it is. She tells him that she's looking for Maxim and Ivan, but they're out of the tower with Alana. And Nynaeve doesn't know, but Leandrin is actually watching her from behind as the trainee is trying to flatter her. He says, all the Ajas must be following you around. But he hopes that she doesn't pick Red, of course, because, Reds don't have waters. At least they don't take waters. Hey. Then Leandrin gets a message that she basically has to take straight to the Armelin's office. It was like hot potato. She takes it immediately there, and when she gets there, she finds Leanne and tells Leanne, the West is under attack. Why aren't you sending sisters? And Leanne's like, Yeah, they're always under attack, and usually from each other. Ileana is basically being evasive with her responses, so Leandrin tries to pin her with the three oaths, asking, "When did you last speak to the Amerlin?" To which Leanne tells her, "When she's not there, I'm in charge. So every time I open my mouth." That was really cool. That was really slick. This whole season, I've been wondering, where in the hell is Swan Sanche? Just asking. Not asking for a friend. I'm asking for my damn self. Where's Swan Sanche? Is she out of the tower? Is she chasing Moraine? I doubt it. Some people would obviously realize. Is she, locked herself in grief over missing Moraine in her room? No, because Egwene was in there also. So I haven't seen hide nor hair of Swan, and I'm wondering where is she and what she's up to. Because Swan, she got plots inside of plots inside of plots, plots on plots on plots. In parting, though, of course, to sprinkle a little bit of, salt, she says, "If she falls, you fall with her." Gotta love that Leandrin. Gotta love her. Anyway, continuing her fantastic shade voyage, Leandrin finds Nynaeve in the testing room. She just goes back to it every once in a while, I guess, just from trauma and just thinking and reminiscing about what she missed. Or what she misses. They talk a bit about the experience that she had in the Arches, and she can't forget it, especially her daughter. That's one of the biggest things she can't really forget. And she's just like, she's been in there. She was in there for years. I mean, her daughter was at least like 6 or 7, something like that. So essentially, she can't get past that loss. Especially losing Lan in there. She lost her shit while she was doing that. And Leandrin confesses that she kept her son a secret for almost a century. And she was afraid of losing the only thing that was truly hers. That's deep. That's deep, I completely understand, And she says that male channelers are cursed, but Aes Sedai are cursed too. They have to watch everyone they love die. And figuring out why Leandrin doesn't train novices anymore, Nynaeve just looks at her and asks, have you found another? Basically to say to have you found another to take that place? But Leandrin sidesteps that question and tells her about her new news, that there's an invasion in the West, and there are reports that they captured Perrin's crew. So, that obviously is going to be concerning to Nynaeve. Then we have more boozing with Egwene in Elaine's room, and they're just drinking until, I'm like, geez, it's like every single scene they're having a drink. I'm like, what kind of Sex in the City type novice quarters do they have that they could just be lushing it out around the tower? It's like, I don't want to see them on spring break, dancing on tables and embarrassing themselves in small towns. I mean, God forbid, Creator forbid. Then Nynaeve comes to speak to Egwene and politely asks Elaine to give them a moment alone. Reluctantly, she does, realizing that Nynaeve now outranks them. She tells Egwene that Perrin and Loyal has been captured and she's going to go free them. Egwene calls shotgun immediately, but Nynaeve tells her, you can't go or you'll be expelled. Egwene's like, fuck the tower. Because she doesn't want to fail her friends again. That's the one thing that's been on her mind. She just wants to be trained and not be able to not help her friends. She still blames herself for Rand dying. So she's just like, that's not going to happen again. So in little time, they're all packed for an evening of spelunking in a very deep, dark tunnel. They pause out of nowhere, realizing that they're hearing footsteps behind her. And when they turn around, it's Elaine, and she wants to go too, of course. But before Nynaeve can turn her away, Leandrin appears. And she obviously only wanted this to be a tricycle, and she is deeply vexed by this being a whole ass car with 4 wheels. So she blasts them against the wall with air and knocks them completely out. And that was that. That was the towers scenes, basically. So then we're back to Kyrian. All right. Or we're in Kyrian. And the older lady that spoke to Rand at the party, she wakes and begins to ready herself for the day. She's getting her wig on just right, and the lace front is laying just lovely. A servant comes in to announce to her that her older sister is at the door. And I'm like, damn, older sister? I mean, not that I'm old shaming or nothing like that, but she looks about 65. So I'm just saying, how old is her older sister? And then they bring the older sister in to the sitting room, and it's Moraine. That makes complete sense, I guess. Not exactly, I guess they're playing around with the time system a little bit, not exactly sure how old Moraine was when she was in a novice, or an accepted rather. And, so, hey, sure. Moraine's her older sister. But damn, how old is Moraine? That's the question I'm asking. How old is Moraine, And for a moment, they just stare at each other like strange cats. Like strange cats, and very briefly exchange some pleasantries, but Moraine decides to get right to business after that. And she's like, I need my old room, and I need your people to mind their business. That's basically what I need from you. And then she starts basically ordering around her sister's servants until her sister is just like, it's been decades, girly. You're not going to talk to me? What's going on? Sit and have some tea. And Moraine is just like, perhaps lunch, and dips out on her. I'm like, dang, Moraine, take 2 seconds to talk to your sis. My goodness, your parents would be disappointed. Trust me. But then later, back at Casa de Damadred, Moraine is dressed in a beautiful but tactical blue dress. I love it. It has pockets. That's basically, when I did wear dresses, it had to have pockets. That's all I know. And Moraine spots an old painting of herself and her little sister. And I'm saying little sister, her sister couldn't be more than like 12 years old in this painting, while Moraine looks about 20. And I'm like, sheesh. That's a lot of years that done passed since this picture was painted. I mean, this portrait was painted, but she doesn't look a day older right now. So, I mean, hey, Moraine's winning. She considers, going back to talk to her sister, but decides against it and grabs the Gillidanan wine and heads to the asylum, where she's headed. When she gets there, she's receiving a guided tour by, I guess, the head mistress of the asylum, and she starts inquiring about Rand. Not suspect at all. Just wondering about this random orderly that you basically have, and wondering, oh, do you know where he lives? That's not suspect. Doesn't everybody who you don't know come to your job and wondering, where do you know where he lives? That happens all the time. And no, they don't know where he lives. So instead she asks if she could see Logain, who they go ahead and show her right to where he is in the courtyard. And Logain is trying his best not to look absolutely feral and disturbed. And as soon as he sees Moraine, he says he should kill her where she stands. And she's just like, you tried that once. I'm just like, Moraine and the comebacks, gotta love it. She is brave beyond belief. Even without the one power, you can't phase her. She is not moved at all. She lets him know that she is the one who actually sent him to Kyrian, because the browns and the yellows wanted to, study him like a little frog on a plate. But she's just like, yeah, you wouldn't have liked that. So be thankful that I sent you here, and she asks him, have you started training him yet? And we know who him is. He asks if she thinks that he's going to dance on strings for a bottle of wine, and he crashes it to the floor or whatever like that. And so she decides, I have something else to offer you then. And she pulls out a knife. to end all of his suffering. And he immediately starts telling her everything she wants to know. He tells her, everything he knows about Rand, pretty much. And she tells him that if he teaches Rand everything he knows, she'll leave the knife. And he accepts. He accepts that. So Moraine finds out where the inn that Rand was staying at is, but there's no Rand. And she asks the guard if he knows where he went, but the guard seems to know something, but decides not to tell her anything about Rand. Really kind of weird. So she goes back to the manor house, and she was about to check in with her sister again, but then changes her mind again. But her sister is smart. Sister's smart. She's waiting in Moraine's room for her to come back. That's what you got to do. You got to corner him. And she again tries to brush her sister off, and is just like, seriously? But she cannot. The sister wants to make sure whatever Moraine is doing in Cairhien, it doesn't endanger her family, the family that she's been taking care of all by herself for a long time. Her sister basically has made it so that Moraine can't hear any information about Rand unless she comes to her first. So finally, Moraine sits down and has some tea. Yes, go ahead and have some tea, sis. Then we get to the man, Rand. Earlier in that day, Rand was shoveling debris from the fire at the inn. And Selene tells him, if you rebuild my inn, she can no longer carry out her sex extortion scheme. Exactly. She suggests that they go away to the country instead while their workers are working on rebuilding the inn. And at first he decides that no, he's going to stay and work because he feels really guilty about burning down her, livelihood. But then with some coercing by her, he changes his mind and they go to the country. So Rand and Selene are at a special place that she knows of, and they're overlooking a vast countryside from where they are. And she begins to talk about coming up there with a man that she loved. And Rand reminds her, we're not supposed to talk about the past. And she jokes, maybe because you're too young to have one. And he says, you'd be surprised. I'm thinking, like, exactly what past is he referring to? I mean, what is he, 23, 20, 22? What kind of past? How much of a past have you had, sir? I mean, I get it. You've done a lot of things for the last year since you left the Two Rivers, but is that the past? I wonder. Anyway, she continues. He was the only man that she loved, powerful and confident. And they liked to go away together too. Rand talks about how he grew up in a world just like this, isolated, and he didn't want to leave, but he can't go back now. And he says, the wheel never gives anybody what they want. But she tells him, if you want something, you have to take it. Yes, she got points. She's made points. Anyway, they doze off and under the stars. And but Rand is awakened by something. And he grabs his sword just in case and looks around. And out of nowhere is attacked by a Fade. The Fade comes in strong and he tries to defend himself, but the Fade disarms him very quickly. He hasn't even had no kind of training by land, and he already got transferred away from that other guy who was trying to give him some lessons, but it is what it is. He does his best, but the Fade disarms him very quickly, and Selene wakes up, but he tells her to get behind her, to stay behind him, and then he channels and burns the Fade to a cinder. Just like that. I was impressed. I was like, okay, he's getting a little bit more control of the power. Okay. Then he apologizes, of course, to Selene for keeping the fact that he could channel a secret, doing the math. She figures out that the fire in her inn was no accident. And he tells her, I'm not mad. You know me. I'm not mad. But reluctantly, he says that he will leave. Men who can channel kill the people that they love first. And all that she heard was love. You love me, Rand? Like a little puppy. He tells her she is the first woman who has seen him as a man, but he didn't want her to see him as a monster. That's very nice, and it's interesting, kind of to hear the references to being a monster, in the storyline for this series, this season, kind of wondering, these people, male channelers, there's people, everybody's been like, scaring their kids for so many years with, oh, they're monsters and they'll kill us all, but they're really just people. And the fact that even Shamariel referred to himself asking about, is he a monster? What does a monster look like? It's a really good question, and kind of, provides kind of a foundation for kind of the story that's being told, where Rand is supposed to be one of the most hated figures in their society, but at the same time, he's just a kid, for Christ's sake. He's just a kid. Anyway, she doesn't care that he could channel, though. She doesn't want him to hide it either. It's a part of your nature. She tells him. Again, she references the man that she loved long ago. She never showed him all of herself, she said, until one day he looked too long and carefully. I mean, how many times though, for real? How many times are you going to mention the man you used to be with? How many times are you going to mention your ex? I mean, when does it become a concern? That's all I'm thinking. I mean, if I was dating somebody and every single thing we did, they basically referred to their ex, I'd be like, all right, you want me to call them? I mean, you can go back to him. It's okay. I'm cool with it. If you still hung up, I get it. But sure, he's dead, so I'm the stand-in. But you don't have to mention him every single conversation. You know what I mean? Anyway, hit me up in the comments what you think about that. How often are you okay with your ex or with your significant other mentioning their ex in every conversation? Anyway, but speaking of exes, a long-haired hippie land is walking along through a village. They've been staying with what I assume is Alana, her two waters, and her family, her extended family. I assume that most of her family is long gone by now. So these must be her little nieces and stuff like that she had, But it appears to be her home village. And there are several people that really seem familiar with her, like family. And they ask her, about the third water. And it's just like, so where does the third go? And I'm just like, ooh, y'all nasty. I love it. Go ahead with it. Come on with it. He steps away for a moment just to relieve himself, but Alana follows. Trying to get a view, trying to get a peek. I know she is. Anyway, they've been keeping an eye on him, basically, just in case he wants to hurt himself or run away. They want to be there. And she says, since the bond wasn't ripped from him, it was taken. She doesn't think that he's going to kill himself. And Alana tells him they're going back to the tower and they want him to come with them. And that Nynaeve is going through the arches soon. And that's the fastest since Catswain Maladrin. Can't wait for Catswain. And she should be looking for a water soon also. So I like the fact that it's not quite... what was the name of that? I'm not going to say that name of that but I like the fact that she's not trying to jump his bones. It doesn't seem like it, at least not yet. Well, maybe she tried already. Might have. But at the same time, she seems as though, she knows that she's supposed to be, that Nynaeve is someone that basically he is truly interested in. So she might need a water soon. But he tells her he's not looking to repeat his failures. And I'm like, damn it, Moraine. You broke a perfectly good man. But thank goodness, Alana is there to speak up for Moraine at least a little bit. And she tells him she wishes that he could have known Moraine before. And he's like, before what? She's just like, something happened to her about 20 years ago. Okay. Something happened to her 20 years ago. One day she was just changed. You know, and later Lan is in his room reading the bloody poem and is just seems so worried. Then Maxim comes in and asks if he could help him get some water for dinner. So, of course, Lan's going to go help him and tell him to go himself, you know. And as they're talking, he tells Lan that he's doing pretty well, you know, since the bond has been broken. And, you know, Lan confides in him that Moraine has been masking the bond for at least 6 months. And Maxim says that Alana does the same with him because of their agreement. They have an agreement with all three of them that, you know, he at least will not be, you know, the bond, it stays masked for him unless they're in battle. So I guess, you know, that keeps something of his that's in his brain or, you know, her emotions. He keeps it to himself. So that's a nice thing, or at least he thinks he does. You know, so he's just like, hey, no marriage is the same. And that he should go and find Moraine, you know, forget all the stuff. Go and find Moraine, you know. And then after dinner, though, the three waters go out and are meditating. Well, it's more like two of them are meditating and Maxim can't stay still to save his life, you know. So he gets up and he goes away, and then Ivan tells Lan that he knows that what Moraine said to him hurt him. But they are not equals. It's just obvious. They're not equals, but they're still needed and they're still necessary. Then he asks, what does Moraine want? And Lan is just like, honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. And then meanwhile, though, while they're talking, Alana and Maxim are actually in Lan's room searching through his things. And I'm like, what kind of stuff is that? That's invasion of privacy much, you know? And they find the blood deaf poetry slam notes in his bags. And it's a solid 16 bars, you know, but that Lan has in his pocket, but it's actually of old prophecy in Old Tongue, you know. I'm assuming that he knew how to read Old Tongue, maybe, but Alana decides not to tell Lan that it's about Lanfear, and who is one of the Forsaken, and her seal has been broken, and she's now once again walking among them in the world. And Ivan starts reading the prophecies aloud in the common tongue. Over a scene of Rand and Celine, you know, looking like they're about to do Mr. Nasty time, you know. He basically reads it out, saying, "Daughter of the night, she walks again. The ancient war she yet fights. Her new lover she seeks. Who shall serve her and die, yet serve still? Who shall stand against her coming? The shining walls shall kneel. Blood feeds blood, blood calls blood. Blood is, blood was, and blood shall ever be." And that's obviously what Ishamael was chanting earlier in the episode. And at the same time, Celine is tying up Rand to the bed, and I'm thinking what Tom Marilyn once told him in the books. She's about to give you an education such as every man should have at least once in their life, if they can live through it. She's about to rock Rand's world. She's tying him up to the bed. Then she whispers in his ear, There's something you should know, Rand. Tell Cersei I did it." No, I'm just playing with y'all. She didn't say that. She says, "I'm a monster too." And I'm like, oh boy. And as she says that, she rises up in unison with a scene from from earlier in the episode with the lady in blood, covered in blood. And she rises up, and it appears that she starts to channel, it looks like there's wind blowing around in the room. Now, I'm just like, is that Kegel weaves, or is that sacral chakra weaves? I mean, let me know exactly what you're doing to prepare yourself for this, what you about to go down. That's about to go down with Rand. Because I mean, I need to know. Let me know the kind of hand movements that I gotta, do to get that popping. And Rand has no clue what's going on. He's just looking and is just like, what's happening? What's happening? And looks scared as hell. And he's just staring at her when a knife exits right through Shalene's chest, poking right through the front, and stops her mid-gyration. Then the knife is pulled back out through her chest, and Moraine appears out of nowhere and pulls her head back and then slices her throat Navy SEAL style. And I'm just like, yo, I'm telling you, that blue Aja is cold as ice. They could get it when they're ready to get it. They could get it in. And Rand is like, what the fuck? And Moraine is like, you're not fucking Lanfear. Not on my watch. Now let's go. We gotta go. And Rand is a little mad, that she killed his boo, his boo thing. And, now that this woman, finally knows the real him and all, he gets a little upset, and he pins Moraine right against the wall and comes up to her, hand around her throat, but she tells him she couldn't kill her even if she wanted to, because that's Lanfear. And they run out the door as soon as, right when Lanfear's lifeless eyes start to blink. And that's the end of the episode, guys. And I'm just like, woo-wee. It's going to be on and popping. It's going to be on and popping in episode 5. I can't wait to see what happens when Lanfear wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. That's all I got to say. It's going to be interesting. Well, but thank you, guys. There's so many things basically that I could talk about with this episode. I really, really loved it. Can't wait to see more. But, thank you for stopping by. That was my Wheel of Time Season 2, Episode 4 review. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, and rate me everywhere you would like to see more of me. Just let me know. Go ahead. Send me some information. Let me know if you have any ideas for different episode ideas. If you have any ideas, no problem. If not, I'm going to keep on with the course that I'm on right now. Just providing great entertainment content for you guys on this channel, CallMeNakomi World. Also, please remember, I have a separate channel just for sports. For all you people who love sports, love content, love sports news, I'm going to be going over a lot of different things. Right now, of course, it's football season, so we're talking about college and NFL football. But we're going to get to other topics very soon as other seasons begin and other seasons end. So it's called Call Me a Sports Fan. Yes, still going with the whole call me motif. But Call Me a Sports Fan. Find me on YouTube. It'll be a great time. Also, follow me at CallMeNakomi on Instagram and CallMeNakomi1 on X. And you can always write me an email at callmenakomi@gmail.com. You know the deal, guys. Go ahead. And thank you again for finding me here on YouTube and listening to me on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's a blast every single time I get to speak to you guys. I love it, and I appreciate you guys for always coming out, But right now, until next time, take care of one another. Put a hand around somebody, help somebody out. If you see somebody stumbling, it's not going to take anything for you to just help them catch their balance. You know what I mean? But until next time, may you always find water and shade.